Okay, hey everyone. So today our mini lesson is just going to be on the basics of blogging. And as you're taking these notes, please make sure that you set it up in Cornell note format and write the essential question, which is how can understanding the basic text features of a blog make my blogging more effective? And so the information in this mini lesson is going to answer that question, and I need for you to summarize that whenever you do your summary. So first, let's just make sure that we're all on the same page about what a blog is, because I know that we technically understand that it's somewhere where you post online, but the definition is really that it's short for a weblog, and a log is an official record of events. So now in the digital age, that can look in like so many different things, where you have the capability of posting about a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. But if you think back to when people would, journey on ships, the log was the official record of events that happened on the ship. So you could potentially think about it as a diary, or you could think about it a little bit more loosely as a log, dealing with your thoughts on different topics. For those of you who are blogging right now, it's a log of the official record of events in your life, your ideas, your reactions according to our time being quarantined from each other. So it can cover a variety of topics, and it can be written in a variety of genres. And of course, remember, genre is a writing style that shares similar forms or features. So for example, like a narrative or expository writing, perhaps a poem, an argument, a reflection, all of those things are different genres of writing. So you'll need to pick one before you get started. Another thing that I want to go over is title. So the title should be related to the content of your post, and there's no need to put the date in, because whenever you are creating or publishing your piece, there's an automatic timestamp. So it allows readers to preview the content of your piece, and often they're creative titles that sort of draw the reader in. And I want you to, as you do your next blog post, really focus on title. The next thing I want to talk to you about is audience. So the audience is the group of people, and they could be real people or they could be imaginary people who you are writing to. So your audience is going to determine a few things. For example, what you write. You might write something different to a group of friends than you would for an academic assignment. You might write something different to your mom than you would mayor. And so your audience determines what you are going to be writing, what examples and explanations you include, because if you determine who your audience is and determine that they might not understand the basic things that you're talking about, say, for example, you're writing a blog post about a very, very specific video game, and your audience is a more general online audience, you might need to do some explaining for the things that you're discussing. And it will help you determine what to emphasize. So that way you can make certain points and emphasize certain points to your audience. And it also allows for you to develop your voice in a unique way. So what tone and word choice you're going to use, stuff like that. So technically, of course, I'm your audience / of course, your classmates may be your audience at some point, but I really do want you to think of it more abstractly as a general online audience to people who, may or may not be reading. So try to think of the audience as something a little bit more abstract and determine what that readership looks like. The next thing you need to make sure that you determine is your purpose for writing. So determining your purpose, again, will allow you to determine what you're going to be writing about, the point of your writing. So always try to make some sort of overall point and how you will make that point. So it allows you to think about your readers, what your readers know and don't know, and providing your readers and your audience with the appropriate context. So what details will you need to explain, elaborate? What sidebars or moments of clarification will you need to provide to your audience? Stuff like that. So I also want to just give you some tips for organizing your content for an online audience. Make sure you, when possible, can utilize headings and subheadings, and these are going to be just like titles. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this slide. So we talked about headings and subheadings, which are titles to organize your thoughts into different sections. Use lists if possible. Not every blog will require a list or need a list, but online readers really do like them. That's why BuzzFeed articles became so popular, because they were called listicles, and it organized content in ways that was really accessible for an online audience, especially when you think about an online audience being very busy or skipping around from thing to thing. Seeing things in lists is helpful. Write in a nutshell or summary paragraphs. So remember that a summary is a brief statement or account of the main points of a thing. So in this instance, the thing would be your blog post. Limit each paragraph to one idea, and this is just a good organizational practice. Provide links when you're referencing a source that you are discussing, and I'll show you an example of that in my blog. Embed content into the post, and to embed means to place an object or media. So in this instance, a photo, a video, a social media post, etc., into the blog post to sort of situate it around the existing content. And then make sure you provide concluding thoughts and address the audience to wrap things up rather than just leaving us hanging. And in addition to discussing facts, give your opinions. This is a more informal style of writing, even though it still has a lot of these basic features to look at. And so you're allowed to give your opinions right now, as long as you are making sure that they are based in some sort of factual evidence. So for example, you can't just make the claim that coronavirus is not a big deal, because there are bukus of evidence online, if you are staying moderately informed, that would show you otherwise. But if you do have a take on something, show us where that information is coming from, okay? Give us your opinions, but make sure that you are also informed. So I want to show you one of my blog posts to show you a little bit about the different features of the blog. So first of all, my blog URL is reflective of who I am and just has the hosting site information on it. So just be aware that you should sort of be identifiable, or you should have a URL that reflects the content of your blog. The overall title of my blog is Writing and Reading with My Students While We're Away. And so that helps you understand what I'm going to be posting about on my blog. And then I want to show you this post right here. To wear or not to wear, that is the question. So my title is creative because it's an allusion to Hamlet by Shakespeare, but it also reflects the content of my post. And so the purpose that I determined of this post was going to be discussing the merits of wearing a face mask during this epidemic. And I also wanted to think about my audience as people who were just as confused or having a difficult time working through the massive amounts of information out there that there are. And so I do a lot to explain information and provide context to information that is necessary as it pertains to wearing face masks during the epidemic. You see right here, there's my timestamp, so I don't have to put my date and time in the title. I also, as you look through, you'll see that I have my information organized into paragraphs. I have certain things bolded or emphasized for my readers, like what I'm hovering over right here. And I've also embedded content. So since this is relevant content because it has to do with making masks. And so I made masks for my family and I posted some pictures of those. I also, to increase my credibility and to show you that I'm responding to actual facts and information, I have linked in information. For example, right here, it is believed that any mask is better than none, as it provides slightly more protection for wearers along with regular hand washing. So I link in where I got that information so you can go back and reference it. I also link things right here and right here, right here, right here, right here. And so I'm showing you where I'm getting all this information from, so you then can also go to that information and check it out yourself. Okay, so now that I've shown you my blog, I want to talk about your assignment. I want you to basically apply these ideas and principles to your own blog post today. So I'm not going to tell you what to blog about today. You can still look back at that original English 2 document to determine what your options are for blogging, but remember your blog should record about 30 minutes of writing. So I want you to create a blog post, and this is going to be due tomorrow, in which you're aware of and implement the tips for creating effective blog posts that we just went over. And I want you to specifically be aware of your audience and make sure you craft a title that reflects the content of the blog and ensure that you have a clear purpose and that you're not just talking about a smattering of things that are happening in your day, but have some sort of reason for writing this blog post. And the blog post might be to show a day in the life, but if it is, make sure that that is the clear purpose that is being set. So you're going to submit the specific blog URL. And what I mean by that is if I were to go back to my blog and click on the title, right here up at the top, this is the URL that will take you to this specific post. I want you to copy that. And then I want you to paste it into the assignment on the Google Classroom. And that assignment is going to be called Audience, Purpose, and Blog. And so in addition to submitting that specific URL, you are going to write just a short paragraph explaining what choices you made as a writer from this information to strengthen your blog post. And I'll provide you with those instructions on the assignment as well.